My name is Jake, and welcome back to A Few Bricks Short. Happy Halloween! Nah, I know, it's over. I meant to make this video earlier, but everyone in my house has either been sick, or allergic to something, or sick of being allergic, or allergic to being sick. So my voice hasn't been great, so please excuse any possible cracks I may have. So I love the idea of mocks. This is a LEGO community term for my own creation. This just means something you build yourself without official LEGO instructions. I know, mock is a silly acronym. The LEGO community doesn't really have the best acronyms. You know what I mean? All you AFOL out there. But regardless of what it's called, creating something yourself out of LEGO is super cool. The creativity and thought behind it is very intriguing to me. So one day, I stumbled across a Halloween habitat challenge on Instagram, and I was immediately interested. It was hosted by Jen and Annabelle of BrickFam Builds and Bricks Why Not, respectively, on the Halloween habitats page they made. They are both delightful. For those who don't know, a LEGO habitat scene usually consists of 2 walls, at least 1 minifigure, much like this gift with purchase from a bit ago. I love the look of habitats. I think they're super cool. It's fun to see how creative people can be in usually such a small space. It just tells a tiny story in just this one scene. Often, the story can actually be continued over multiple habitats, which can then fit together to create what is called a stack. I've always wanted to try my hand at making one of these, so this seemed like the perfect time to try. The challenge bounds were pretty simple and broad. You just had to make a habitat on an 8x8 plate with 2 walls, then fill the scene in with anything Halloween related, and take pictures of it. You could make as many habitats as you wanted, and post the pictures between October 23rd and 28th, with Sunday the 29th being the stack day, where you could post a picture of your habitat stack if you participated with more than one habitat. There were prizes that could be won, but I think a lot of people participating were just in it for the fun of it, much like myself. Now, I've not done much mock building. I started making my first mock in Bricklink Studio, a 3D LEGO building program. The 47 of you who watched my first video on that know. And if any of those 47 of you are here, welcome back. I'll be finishing part 2 soon. But you would also know I do not have a large piece collection. My wife and I usually buy the sets for the sets themselves. We don't usually buy things for the parts. Because of that, I could have tried this challenge in Studio, but I wanted to see what I could do with physical bricks and see how it came together in real life, and also try the photography part as well. My son, however, has a good number of creator sets and also doesn't keep many of his sets together, so I borrowed his bricks. As there were 6 days to post, I had intended to make 6 different habitats, and I did have 6 different ideas, but I quickly realized my biggest problem was parts. Even though my son has thousands of parts, I was just having a hard time simply starting the walls. Basic walls can be made by 1x bricks, like 1x3s and 1x4s, and he just doesn't have a lot of them. Plus, his parts are currently organized in these big bins by color at the moment. I know.
You need to leave!
But he is 5, and it has worked for him for now. And I'll be fixing that soon, but that's a topic for another day. So trying to find specific bricks took a while. So between trying to find certain bricks and not being able to find something that isn't there, I ended up only making 4 habitats. I did use my own pieces for most of the accessories and the minifigures and some small sections, but most of the structural bricks were my son's. I also borrowed a bit from my city hospital, which is already in pieces from our move. My habitat ideas revolved around the theme of Halloween activities. So for the first habitat I presented, I made a scene about carving pumpkins. I hate this chair. I'd actually finished this habitat last. Again, I had trouble with the walls. I knew I was going to the LEGO store for my birthday, so I pushed this one to hopefully find some bricks, and I actually bought my first Bab Cup, which had these sand green bricks. Now, in a combination of not planning what size bricks would be best, and the LEGO store having these sand green ones as the best size and color, these were a bit too big. You can see how the walls don't overlap properly in the corner. I did find some 1x2 bricks my son had to fill in the gaps, so it ended up working out okay. The back is a bit nuts, and that's nothing. I was worried about the back, and I wasn't sure how it would turn out, in photos, and mostly just that seemed like I wasn't doing a good job. But a lot of other contributors actually posted pictures of their crazy habitat backs, so it's just a thing that happens, I guess. But because of that, I let my weird walls I made sit for a while, not sure if I was even going to use them, but after figuring out the other 3 habitats, I finished this one, happy with the sand green color. The scene represents a kitchen and a dad carving pumpkins with his daughter. The jack-o'-lantern is actually a minifigure head accessory that has been around since 2015. I knew it was something I needed for this, so I actually picked up 3 from the Build-A minifigures they had when I was at the LEGO store. It's a super cool piece, and I'm not sure the idea would have been properly conveyed without it. And it also turns out a lot of people use this piece too. The tile floor was done completely with spare 1x1 tiles I had. Hang on to your extra pieces, kids. I knew the kitchen needed something more, so I made a simple counter for the back and borrowed a fridge from Autumn's house, a friend set we have. And I thought the facial expression of the CMF conservationist worked really well for the dad here. I didn't add anything to the walls, purely because I couldn't shift the bricks around from what I had to add anything like snot bricks or similar. But I think the simple walls actually work really well with the tiled floor, and I'm pretty happy with this one. For my second habitat, I made a scene of a girl picking out a Halloween costume. I ended up having the most flexibility with the white bricks for the walls, and was able to build them correctly, and with minimal odd back stuff. So the bricks that stick out here are supposed to be part of a habitat in its simplest form, allowing for it to connect to other habitats. So for this habitat, I wanted to show a kid happily digging through costume options. The best way I found to convey that was just piling some accessories in chests. I usually don't like when something in a LEGO set is actually not attached and just floats around, like the dirt in the bonsai tree or any bucket of water in a Minecraft set. But this was really the best look here. It's a silly thing I'm getting over in the name of creativity. I tried to add as many interesting accessories as I could from costume minifigures. I think the chicken mask here is my favorite. I added some posters to the walls to give the scene a nice touch of more life. I knew the extra dots pack and music tiles from video would come in handy. This one's my wife's favorite, and I think it turned out pretty great. The third one I wanted to create was a visit to a haunted house. I decided to use black for the walls, and boy howdy, was that a decision. I had so much trouble finding 1x bricks. Eventually I just decided to use 2x bricks, as I found a bunch of those, and even still, I had a hard time finding enough. Luckily, I had already decided whatever happens to the backs, happens. Here's a scary sight for you. I also had this idea for an eyeball decoration peeking through a hole in the wall. Seeing as how I had already committed to 2 studs deep on the walls, I built the eye hole thing inset into the wall. I added some planks of wood to make it look as if someone tried to patch the hole, but rather unsuccessfully. One of the planks is falling off, but I'm not sure that was obvious here. I had used so many odd bricks here, there were just so many snot studs everywhere. I kind of just leaned into it and ended up texturing the walls with all kinds of pieces. The figures, of course, are conveying someone jumping out to scare a visitor. I kind of just made it look like the garbage pile the monster character was hiding behind. All in all, this one's my least favorite. I don't know if this really says haunted attraction put on by people versus generic scary something. Plus, I had such a hard time with the walls due to the limitations, and I don't think the black photographed very well. This could, of course, entirely be my photography skills, but I did learn a lot from this one, and I still liked it enough to post, so I did. For my fourth habitat, I wanted to show someone trick-or-treating. This is what Halloween leads up to for most kids, so I knew I wanted this to be my last submission. I actually started this one first. I knew I wanted to have a house, and a very common element for houses around me is siding. So I tried to add all of the white cheese slope pieces I had to fill in the wall next to the door from top to bottom, and I did not have enough. I tried all kinds of things to try and make the ones I had work, but ultimately I ended up adding a window and a doorbell. I was also reminded of the way snot bricks line up with vertical plates, and that is that they don't. This was something I was planning on doing for my house mock, so I'll have to revisit that. The green wall, oh boy, the green wall. It started as a mix of regular green and light green because that was all I could find. I did end up finding these light green bricks on the pad wall, so I swapped out all the regular green. It is just super not stable. I made a green wall to be kind of like greenery near the house. I tried to add some plants to sell the idea, and these vines do not stay attached. They fall off at the slightest move, and I have to try and get my fingers in there to try and reattach it, only for the next one to fall off. I find I'm a very literal person, and this wall near the door just had to be something. Like, it couldn't just be an abstract void space. Like, it had to make sense in the scene to me. It's completely not necessary, especially in a little build like this. So that is something I'm working on creatively. The figures, of course, are a lady handing out some candy to a kid. I wish I had one of these Halloween buckets, but maybe next time. It is on my wish list. One thing I completely forgot was that I had some of these chocolate bars. I should have used them instead of these vague candy rounds, but again, next time. The big thing I wish I had figured out for this habitat was how to decorate the house to look more Halloween. I think this works as trick-or-treating with some context provided, but I'm not sure it's able to really stand on its own and tell you that. Even with room for improvement, I'm pretty proud of this one. After the 4 were done, it was time to stack them. This kind of influenced the order in which I chose to present the individual habitats. I knew the trick-or-treating one would be last. The pumpkin carving one doesn't have a proper stud overlap on the left, so that one either had to go on the left, either on the top or the bottom. And again, the haunted attraction habitat wasn't sure really sold the theme of Halloween activities I was going for, so that one couldn't be first. So that basically forced my order. There we have it. So those are the 4 habitats I made. I had a lot of fun making them, and I learned a lot about mocking and my style doing so. I also learned I need some parts. I almost bought every style of masonry brick available on Pick a Brick Online the other day. I did, however, buy this. This was at Walmart for $50, and it's normally $90. This is like the first set I ever bought that for the parts only, even though I know that is what it's made for. The other great thing about this challenge was the real sense of community I felt. It was very cool to feel like I was part of something, especially something Lego. So many people built so many cool builds, and it was really quite inspirational. The support all of the other participants gave to each other was really amazing as well. I will definitely be making more habitats and other mocks in the future, either for Instagram challenges or just for me. Well, that's all I had for you today, so let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time.